All right, confession time. How many times have you said, I'll do it when I feel ready? And how's that working for you? Exactly. I figured that's what you would say. Confidence is the diet version of courage. It's all packaging and no nutrition. It's the thing that we think we need before we start. But in reality, it only shows up once we're already making a mess. So today we're dismantling the confidence con. That's the myth that you have to believe in yourself before you do the thing. Because, spoiler, no one actually feels ready. They just get sick of their own excuses. Ever feel like life passed you by while you were being responsible? Like everyone else got a head start on success, on happiness or purpose, and now you're just trying not to fall asleep during your own life. Well, welcome to Too Late My Ass. This is the podcast for anyone who's ever thought it was too late. Too late to dream again, to build again, or begin again. So spoiler alert, it's not. I'm Faye Chappell, and I'm here to help you burn the rule book, rewrite the script, and become the main character in your next chapter. So whether you're 39, 49, 59, or 79, this isn't about getting your groove back. It's about finally giving yourself permission to freaking exist exactly as you are. So hit subscribe, tell that inner critic to take several seats, and let's make this your comeback era, because too late, my ass. So if you're waiting for the day that you wake up fearless, I got bad news for you. That's not a feeling. It's really a fantasy. And the people you think are confident, well, they're just better at hiding their terror under great lighting and maybe a really great suit and maybe some strong coffee. So welcome to Too Late My Ass. This is the show where readiness is overrated and rebellion, well, rebellion is required. So confidence. It has become the world's favorite placebo, right? It's the emotional pre-workout that you're told to drink before taking action, right? And you've heard the quotes, right? Confidence is key. Believe in yourself. Fake it till you make it. That was one of my favorite ones. It's cute and it's useless, really, because nobody tells you what to do when you've been faking it for years and you still feel like an imposter, except wearing a really nice suit, right? So when I first started public speaking, I thought confidence was the goal. So I practiced my power stance. You guys know your power stance? Practiced it in the bathroom mirror like a deranged Wonder Woman, right? And I watched TED Talks and I repeated affirmations and I bought a headset mic so I would look like I was headlining Coachella, even though I can't really sing. But I try. And guess what? Still terrified until one day right before walking on stage, I met this really experienced speaker. I like to think of them as a mentor. And that what they said was, you don't need confidence, you need commitment. You don't need confidence, you need commitment. That line, that punched me in the gut, because commitment doesn't care how you feel. It just asks, are you doing it or not, right? Confidence is a side effect of consistency, not a prerequisite for it. Does that make sense? I want you to pause right now and ask yourself, what am I postponing until I feel ready? Ask yourself that. What are you postponing until you feel ready, right? Why do we actually think we need confidence? Because we were trained to perform, right? Not to progress, right? School taught you to raise your hand when you knew the answer, not when you had the question. It was like always, the teacher would always say, who's got the answer? And those people would raise their hands. And then the rest of us who didn't understand what they were talking about sat there very quietly and hoped that eventually we would get it. Work, on the other hand, work taught you to look competent, even when you were crumbling, right? And social media taught you to curate your life until it looks like a highlight reel, right? Of essentially confidence porn. How's that for a word? So you internalize this idea that confidence equals credibility. But in reality, it's the opposite, because people trust people who try out loud, right? Who say, I'm figuring it out. I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying. And really the most confident sentence you can say is, I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. That's confidence, because that's telling everyone that you are willing to give it a shot. You're going to try. And if you try and figure it out, then that's when your confidence comes. So I want you to do a little mini exercise for us right now. I want you to write down one area of your life where you keep waiting to feel ready, right? And then beside it, I want you to write one messy, imperfect action that you can take today, because that's where the confidence begins, okay? So, for example, when I launched Too Late My Ass, I was 50% sure it would work and 50% sure I'd have to delete everything and literally move away because I embarrassed myself. But I did it anyway, and that's the trick. Act first, doubt later. Do you like that? Act first, doubt later. There is a science behind not feeling ready. Here's what neuroscience says. It says your brain is allergic to uncertainty. It's wired to protect you, not to evolve you. Think about that. Because every time you try something new, your brain interprets it as a threat, right? That flutter in your stomach, that's not fear. That's your nervous system saying, we've never done this before. Proceed with caution. But your job is to eliminate that signal, right? It's to move anyway, regardless of whether you get that flutter or not. And you don't have to be fearless. You have to just stop treating fear like a stop sign. So the next time your brain says, this is scary, I want you to respond out loud with, good. That means it actually matters. So what we're doing is we're reframing our fear as evidence that we're expanding. Okay? So whenever we get fearful, it's because we want to try something new, and our brain is saying, be careful, you haven't done this before. So it's not that it's fearful of doing it, it's fearful, it's warning you that you haven't done it before, right? So I want you to think about every major moment in your life, a new job, a relationship, moving cities. Did you feel confident first, or did you figure it out mid-panic? Right? Exactly. Because confidence doesn't show up at the start line. It shows up somewhere after that first ugly cry or after that first strong drink, right? So I want you to really think about it, because the key in understanding all this is to just simply see how you've been acting in the past. So let's talk about the confidence industrial complex, because that's really that cycle of endless affirmations and mantras and motivational podcasts. Yes, even mine. You can listen, you can journal, you can visualize, but none of it matters without momentum. We talked a lot about momentum last week, and really making everyone understand that momentum is what gives you motivation. Momentum is what gives you confidence. It's not the reverse, because motion creates proof, and proof rewires your belief system. So when you act, even scared, you teach your brain, oh, I can survive this. And every time you survive something new, your confidence expands. Think about that. Doesn't it? Every time you try something new, your confidence expands because you recognize, I can do this. So you don't build confidence by thinking about yourself. You build it by forgetting about yourself long enough to do the damn thing that you wanted to do. So I want you to pick one thing this week that scares you, and I want to give yourself 48 hours to act on it. No planning, no waiting, no polishing. Do it badly, loudly, imperfectly, and then DM me and tell me how it went, because I bet you will be more pleased with yourself that you did it than fearful that you didn't have the confidence to do it. I once agreed to record a keynote video in one take, right? No retakes, no edits, right? The lighting was terrible. My hair didn't look so great, but it did really, really well because people don't want polished. They want proof that you're actually real, right? I don't want you to wear a costume. And sometimes confidence can become a costume. So let's be honest. Half the people who look confident are just honestly exhausted because we've turned confidence into really a performance art. The perfect LinkedIn update, the flawless panel answer, the curated authentic selfie, right? Like everything looks fabulous, but that's not really, that's, what we call social bullshit, right? Like you look great, but that's not really what life's about. So pretending to be confident is really expensive. It's expensive emotionally and it's expensive spiritually because every time you fake being okay, you delay being honest. And honesty is the birthplace of actual power. Confidence without vulnerability is really just arrogance with like essentially good PR, right? My inner circle, I want you to post in our group this week, what's one area of your life where you're done performing confidence, right? So we can unpack some of that in our backstage episode with my producer, Stacy. So we will do this for our inner circle right after you listen to this and go to the backstage. And let's start thinking about redefining confidence because real confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. It's that deep, subtle hum inside you that says, I've handled worse, right? It's self-trust. It's not self-promotion. So there's 3-part framework in TLMA I like to think about when I'm talking about this subject. One is curiosity. I wonder what would happen if. So if you have that curiosity, that's step 1, right? I wonder what would happen if I try this new thing, right? And then number 2 is courage. Let's find out. So you got curious and now you're courageous because you want to go, let's give it a shot. It won't hurt. Let's see what's the worst thing that can happen. So curiosity, courage, and then we move to consistency. I'm doing it again tomorrow. So let's give an example of that. So you might say, I want to start walking or running every day because I wonder what would happen. There's your curiosity. I wonder what would happen if I consistently walk on a daily basis. And then you might say to yourself, courage, let's find out. Let's give it a shot, right? So you try it once. Now, if you're consistent and you're saying, okay, I'm going to do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, that's what brings you the confidence that you can do it because you actually took momentum and started, because confidence is the result of repeating that loop through enough times to stop surprising yourself. And then you don't even remember what it was like to fear it, right? Confidence doesn't come from knowing you'll succeed. It comes from knowing you'll survive if you don't, right? Because you won't know until you try it. So it's silly to be waiting. That's not going to happen. It's not just going to come to you out of nowhere. You need to do the act to move forward in order to be able to gain that confidence that you need. So I'm going to leave you with a confidence reset challenge this week. So I want you to do this for the next 7 days. I want you to do one thing that's scary, big or small, that one thing that you've been scared to do. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny thing or a big thing. And then I want you to, number 2, track it. Write how you felt before and then how you felt after. So that's the key. How did you feel before and how did you feel after? That will start building that confidence, right? And then now I want you to celebrate that evidence because the brain only believes what it can measure, right? So when you get that evidence, you start celebrating it, good or bad. You might say it didn't work, but you are confident now in being able to say, this isn't for me. I talked about doing my motorcycle license in another episode. And it was interesting because I wasn't sure I could do it. But I thought I'd give it a shot. But I really love riding on a bike, so I wanted to do it. So I took my test, right? So I was scared, but I took it, and I started tracking it. as I was going through the weekend, and recognizing that I could do it. And then also gaining that evidence that I could do it, but I didn't really enjoy it because I really like to be on the back of the bike. So, but I was confident now that I could do it, that I had the ability to do it. And confidence really, it just isn't found. It just doesn't naturally come to you. It's built through proof. And I proved to myself that I could do it. So am I confident that I can ride a bike? Yes. Am I excited about it? No, because I recognize the evidence. So just because you get the confidence to do something, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the one thing you want to do. But at least you have the evidence to tell yourself whether it's going to be something you want to do or not. So you don't need to feel ready to start. You don't even need to start to worry about it. What you need is to start to feel ready, right? You need to start to feel ready. And every confident person you admire is just someone who got tired of their own hesitation, really. They act scared. They failed publicly. And guess what? They survived. And then, only then, did they actually look confident. So if you're waiting for that magical day when you finally feel brave enough to leap, this is it. This is your permission slip. It's not too late. What do we like to say here? Too late, my ass. No, you can start it now. Thanks for joining. You've been listening to Too Late My Ass, and this is the show where reinvention has no expiry date. So if you loved this episode, share it with the most secretly brilliant friend you know, the one who is still waiting to feel ready. And if you want, join us in our Act 2 Inner Circle, where we really unpack these episodes, tell messy stories, and we do the work, terrified and all. Thanks for listening to Too Late My Ass. If this episode made you feel seen or heard or a little more ready to take your damn life back, then go ahead and hit that follow button. If you want to go deeper, grab your free comeback kit at toolatemyass.com and join the Act 2 Insiders list for weekly tools, community, and reminders that your story is far from over. Remember, you're not done. You're just getting started. Too Late My Ass, produced by the City Media Group.